the DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
ECSI fans, do you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and Happy New Year. This is the Midday Market Report for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. Yes, we made it. Blessed and honored to be back. Our first trip across the border in 2024. Can't wait to get good friend, colleague, family member, Andrew McInnis, to see how his new year has been, to see how the World Juniors has been. I can see he's losing sleep. Games at 6 a.m. and up till God knows when. But first and foremost, shout out to the guys behind the glass, Joseph Shea, Ivan Lewis. God bless you guys. Thank you. Our proud new sponsor and partnership with WagerWire. If you have not downloaded this app, shame on you. That was your 2023 homework assignment. It's 2024. Let's get it done. Run over to Google Play or wherever you download the apps. It's free. Let's start today tracking our bets, keeping track of our ROI. Start working with some of these sports books. Download them. There's a lot of good free wagers, promos, match plays. Let's get to it. Let's make 2024 special. Let's do it now. We will be doing a lot of work with WagerWire hand in hand throughout the year. I will announce this to the world today. We'll be doing a power lunch, 15-minute shows a couple times a week. We will be breaking down individual games, futures, et cetera. We'll be using the WagerWire apps, and we will be getting everyone building that portfolio. You know, whether it was for the ECSI VIPs that yesterday lost its Alabama plus 2,000 future, but we have a Michigan plus 200 future, who is now currently minus 190 money line, -5 in the championship game, et cetera. So if you're looking to gain a little flash cash, it's 2024. Who couldn't use some extra money, especially after Christmas? Send an email to affiliates at wagerwire.com. Tell them JD sent you from ECSI. Travis, Zach, and the rest of that great team, staff, and community will take good care of you. So without further ado, for the first time this year, let's bring them in. It's been a year, it seems, since I talked to this kid, the one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my friend. How are we?
Well, besides the fact that Team Canada got knocked out of the World Juniors, I'm doing okay. You know, we got your resolutions, your goals for the new year. You almost feel like it's a fresh slate. I always say that you don't want to give yourself too many goals or resolutions, because then you'll just have too much going on to worry about. But whether it's personal or handicapping wise or sports content wise, I'm looking forward to a huge year. And I know you're in for a big one as well, Jeff.
You know, it's funny. Last night you got our alert. We were sitting on October 14th, second half. It was Saturday afternoon. We released Alabama plus 2,000 at DraftKings. And coming into the game against Michigan last night, our alert, we said, hey, let's take Michigan plus 200. Honestly thought the winner of Michigan-Alabama obviously would be favored. but let's get plus on both sides. Overtime, Michigan prevails. So now we're sitting with a Michigan plus 200. And in the nightcap, we had Texas team total over 33.5, and it was kind of comical, 21-21 at half. Third quarter, Texas had 2 possessions. They had the ball for 2.5 minutes. Now I'm sweating. Of course, now I'm back east as you are as well at 12 o'clock, 12:30. Long story short, Texas has got a first and goal from the 5, down 9 points. Get the touchdown, get it over with. I don't care what happens after that. Of course, 3 of the dumbest plays you're ever going to see in your life, they kick the field goal. Well, they don't get the onside kick, and miraculously, because of a Washington injury, the clock stopped. And so they got a punt with a minute to go, 50 seconds to go versus 15 seconds. And then the Washington guy runs into the guy. So now we get 15 yards. Long story short, first down at the 12 with 15 seconds, no timeouts. So you got to take 4 shots to the end zone. You just need to connect to 1. We win the team total. That's all I cared about. First play, he tries a dump-off pass to the running back, which had
yes.
I'm like,
I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe it.
I'm like, what are you doing here? If he got tackled in bounds, the game's over. So then
they got lucky. That could have been so embarrassing. That could have been so bad. The good thing he got out of bounds there.
Yeah, second down, they tried to Mitchell, not even close. It was like Ewer's butt was puckered up this like this, and then Sark is sitting there like sweating bullets. He never should have been in this spot. And then third and fourth down, I mean, can you give me a shot? I mean, Washington was the better team. Washington deserved to win. Hats off to Washington. But team totals, I like team totals. You know I like team totals. Everyone watching where there's a boatload is, thank you guys, loves team totals. Why? Because once you get the team total, I don't care who wins or loses the game.
Great feeling. It's always a great feeling when you don't have to worry about the rest of the result, the rest of the game, and you did your job. And that's the thing, especially when you're looking at sports these days, a team is never out of it, but a team never has the lead and can secure it. Like, that's why I'm looking at team totals. The only thing, I was looking back at some NHL stuff for me, the only thing I want to look at is, like, if there's a team that's getting on a run, and like I really want to start looking and narrowing in on, like, for example, like one of them tonight that I like is the Kings team total over 3.5. That's, you know, we're kind of starting backwards. The last game of the night. I like plus money, but you look at, I think it's 5 of the last 6 or 6 of the last 7 games the Maple Leafs have lost. They've given up at least 4 goals. So, like, I've decided, and I don't want to force the team totals all the time, Jeff, but what's so great about it is that you, like you said, you just don't care what happens. And I kind of got in a habit of, like, every single money line pick I liked, I was betting the team total. And I will say that it was happening to me more than I liked over the past few weeks before Christmas, that the team I liked was winning, but they would score 3, and it was bugging the crap out of me. But I just want to make sure I'm picking the right spots and the right teams for that, or betting against, because I feel like sometimes it's just as much about the team you're betting on as it is the team you're betting against with those team totals.
Yeah, and people that are new to our show or our philosophy, and you know, listen, it's not an exact science. It's kind of peeling the onion back another layer or two, because, you know, most people focus on the money lines. Most people focus on the under over. So why sweat a team total over 3.5 to get to 4? When I can now combine 2 teams to get to over 6.5, where we're saying is we want to take the minus money, turn it into a plus, and not rely on the other team. And again, we've had great success over the last year. Last year, we started doing this and focusing more. Yeah, you get egg on your face. And Mr. Ice on Barstools, Elio, shout out to him. Doing an amazing job with his 5-7 minute clips around 5 o'clock every night. Huge following. Again, takes one game, takes the over, and now you're depending on 2 teams. And how many times have I seen him after the game's over with a line say, Jesus, Sharks didn't show up, or Jesus, this side didn't show up, because you're depending on both teams showing up.
Takes two to tango. It takes two for an over. You need at least. I mean, and the funny thing is that realistically, most people, when they bet an over in a full game, they have an idea who they think is going to win, right? I would say that they have some type of clue. And if not, you might think, these are two teams that are evenly matched. It's going to be a close game. They're going to trade goals. But for the most part, whenever I bet an over, I usually have an idea of which team I think is going to win that one. So if that's the case, you might as well just take that team and look for them to get up and over their team total individually, because it's not going to happen very often where, let's say, I'd be very curious, Jeff, the correlation between unders and underdogs, because a lot of times I think, like, when underdogs, like, let's say, a big team wins, I think that realistically they're getting knocked off because they were able to shut down their opposition. Not as much because they outscored them, first to 5 goals, right? And that's why I look at some of these teams and I just want to be able to tell which teams are giving up goals just as much as they're scoring, because these team totals to me are the best way to go when you're almost fading a certain team, not almost riding a certain team. And that's one of my New Year's resolutions for gambling, for investing, is going against teams more and not as much betting on certain teams. Look at the bottom 4 or 5 teams in the league. How many times more than often are they giving teams 4, 5, 6 goals? Because a lot of times when teams like San Jose lose, they're losing 4-1. They're losing 4-2, and their opponent's going over their team total, but the game is staying under 6.5. I'd be surprised what the under-over record is for the Sharks this season.
Yeah, and the last 2 games for the Bruins leading up to the Red Wing game, which cost us a parlay. Me and empty netters, we can't get them, but we can get scored on them. The Bruins not 1 but 2 empty netters in the final minute, and one by DeBrusk where he's at center ice getting hip checked and he sticks his stick out and the puck goes magically all the way into the net. And then Detroit comes and scores immediately. So I'm like, all right, because we had the Red Wings plus 1.5. Nope, not so fast, Jeff. Bruins got to get another empty netter. And that's what we're doing. We're not playing the puck lines. We're not playing in regulation. And as you said, how many times do you see 2-1 turn to 3-1 and then the empty netter to get to 4? How many times 3-3 overtime? Someone's got to get to 4, guys. And so you bring up the Kings and Leafs. My overnight number, the Kings were minus 130 with the 6.5. Right now it's circa, they're minus 127, still with the 6.5. Okay, so very simply, if I like the Kings, why lay the 127? Why lay the 130 when I can get them to 4 tonight and get them at even money? I don't have to lay any juice. So if it's 3-3 overtime and the Kings win, I win. If Toronto wins 8-7 in a shootout, we still win.
I couldn't agree more, and I really like that one tonight. Now, I will say that the Maple Leafs haven't looked like themselves as much lately. They're giving up goals. There's certainly a goaltending problem. Samsonov gets put on waivers. And one thing interesting about that, I'll say about Samsonov, Jeff, I saw they don't even want to send him down to the Marlies. They mentioned they don't even want him to be in the AHL. They are going to have him pretty much talk to like a sports therapist. They're going to have him go through tape. Like they pretty much, because you know how a lot of times like goalies will go down to the AHL. They'll start playing better in the AHL. What happens? They come back up to the pros, NHL, and the same thing's happening again. So they're not sending him down there, but Marty Jones starts tonight. I just think that a lot of times people say, well, if a team wants to get right, what do? Get away from home, right? Get on the road. Get away from your home crowd and try and gather some wins together. But here's the deal. The LA Kings are off 2 losses, Edmonton and Vegas. So now they've got Edmonton, Vegas, and the Maple Leafs. So LA at home, I think, will not be taking this lightly. To me, it's not like it's one of those things where, yeah, the Leafs haven't been playing very well. It's a good bounce back spot. They're flying to Arizona and they're going to take them very seriously. They're playing the Kings tonight. I think the Kings show up big time. I think they have a deep, deep roster, and their power play has been looking phenomenal. So it's 2 tough losses, and I have to shout out Stuart Skinner for the Oilers, someone that, I was really tough on earlier in the year. It wasn't just Jack Campbell. It was Skinner as well. He played well against the LA Kings. And then, of course, we saw the Vegas Golden Knights shut down the LA Kings. So I don't think this is the night the Leafs get back on track. I think that we definitely see the Kings get to at least 4 goals, and the team total is the way to go against a team like the Maple Leafs. How great will we feel when the Kings get to 4 goals and this game is still going? The other day when the Leafs played against the Columbus Blue Jackets, you got a 6-5 scoreline. It didn't matter who you took in that game. Team totals cashed on both sides. Is the best way to go in Maple Leaf games.
And before I turn the board over to you, I'm going to go back to a game right now and really explain this to people here. Where's my eyes on this one? At 10:07, Ottawa travels to Vancouver. I had an overnight number of Vancouver minus 6.5 with a 6.5. Currently, right now, Vancouver's only minus 138. You can grab the Senators plus 126. Ottawa are attracting some money here, and I look over to the team totals. Vancouver 3.5 over minus 15 cents. I'm not getting the plus money there, but Ottawa's team totals 2.5 over minus 170. So Vegas has given us a pretty big cue here, saying they expect Ottawa to get to 3, and you got to pay a big juice minus 70 cents, where I only have to pay 15 cents if I like Vancouver here. And the reason I'm saying this is the overnight number, always trust and respect the overnight number. It was minus 160. Okay. So now I'm not going to play the Canucks in regulation. I'm not going to play them minus 1.5 goals. I'm going to follow the cue of Vegas, take the opening number of minus 160. We're not laying minus 160 tonight. We're going to lay the 15 cents on Vancouver just to get to 4. And if Ottawa gets to 4 and the final score is 5-4 Ottawa in overtime, we're all happy.
Perfect. I think it's a great game for that. It's also a great game for props. 2 that I like in this one, Connor Garland. I know you like that plus money, Jeff. You're a big plus money guy. Plus 135 for him to get a point. Not a goal, just a point in general. Primary assist, secondary assist, whatever it might be. Connor Garland from the Vancouver Canucks. And then I've got circled here Andrei Kuzmenko under 0.5 points, so to not get a point for the Vancouver Canucks. He's hit that in 7 of his last 10 games, and you're getting a minus 110 number here. And what's great about this is that you get a Vancouver Canucks team that, as you talked about, a team that you want to look to bet on their team total, bet on them to score goals. There's going to be those guys that are just along for the ride, and you know how it is with hockey. Anybody that watches the game, or you see there's 4 lines out there, there's going to be guys that are playing well that just aren't getting rewarded on the stat sheet, because Manko is that guy right now for the Canucks. He's struggling to score. He's still playing well for them, so I'll go under on his points. And then this was pointed out to me a few weeks ago, and I noticed it again. Philip Hronek, or I think that's how you say it, Hronek. So he's the D partner with Quinn Hughes. And I remember talking to you about this before with Devon Toews and Cale Makar. So if, in general, defensemen give you a better number, and then you look at the superstar defensemen like Quinn Hughes or would be Cale Makar, and if that number starts getting carried away, okay, who's their defensive partner? And now Philip Hronek, you're getting a really good number here. He hasn't had a point in a couple games in a row, but still 6 out of his last 10 games. And you look at the price, minus 110. And I really like that, because these defensemen, if you're betting player props in the NHL, especially if you're betting to the overs quite a bit in the prop market, there's so many forwards. There's 4 lines of forwards. But with defensemen, only a few of them are actually scoring goals, though, and actually contributing. So Philip Hronek over on his points. I'll look towards the under for Kuzmenko. And I think that Connor Garland could actually have a good night as well.
There's 13 games on the slate. Bruins, Columbus, 6.5 total there. Bruins minus 2 225. Hurricanes Rangers, one of the headliners overnight. Rangers 120, now 124. Hurricanes starting slowly to round into form there. Caps and Penguins. I know what you're talking about. The Penguins. I'll let you get to that one. Your Montreal Canadiens at Dallas. Dallas minus 290. You can get your Canadians plus 257 there. Blackhawks at the Preds, a big favorite, minus 255 for the Preds. Another good game, which flipped overnight. Calgary and Minnesota. Overnight, Minnesota minus 113. In comes the Calgary money. Joe Madden moving numbers for those Calgary Flames. Now favorites minus one. Basically a pick 'em at Circa. And the big game, I think, of the night, Tampa at Winnipeg. I had an overnight number of Winnipeg minus 130, now minus 135. Winnipeg really playing some pretty good hockey. Another team total, I'm looking at 3.5 over. I can get plus 125 tonight instead of laying the 135.
You're a bold man if you're making a wager in that game. That's where I would go, but I'm staying away. I'm watching as a fan game. That's what that is for me. But yeah, a couple that I do like, and I'll start. Who will we start with? Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take a shot tonight with the Hurricanes here, Jeff. I like the way they're playing. This is potentially an Eastern Conference Finals preview. Some might say it's two teams that have been in the mix for quite some time now. The Hurricanes have driven both you and myself crazy over the past few years. They've had the rosters, they've had the capability, they've had the coaching. And then this year, the goaltending is what falls off for them. But 13 goals in 3 games for them post-Christmas against some respectable teams, I would say. Take a look at the teams they played, Toronto, and then Nashville, and then you throw in my Montreal Canadiens. So call that what you will, but they played very well, winning that one 5-3. Obviously, they were sub 250 favorites in that one. I just think that the inconsistency of New York right now, when they play well, they play really well. And then when they have an off game, it's not very good. You look at some of the games that they've lost, they give up 7 goals to Toronto, 4 goals to Edmonton, 4 goals to Florida. When they're having an off game, they're still tight games, but they're giving up 4 or 5 goals. And I like the way this Hurricanes team is playing right now. They seem desperate. They seem like they have the power play clicking, and it's only going to get better. It's even when it's off, it's 26% now, which I believe is top 5 in the league. Their power play. I mentioned the defenseman all the time. The defenseman for the blue line for Carolina stepping up into the rush even more than before. So I like the price on them, and they're usually a team that I want to back more often at home than on the road. But this number at plus 110, taking them as a dog against the Rangers. I know it sounds weird to say, Jeff, but I kind of feel like they're hungrier. And who am I to say, hey, I know which team wants it more? I mean, it's kind of a lazy handicap way to say that. But I just think that this is a spot where the Rangers, they have quite a bit of a lead. I think they have, 9 points on the Hurricanes right now. I like the form the Hurricanes are getting into. And as I mentioned kind of earlier on in the show, I want to start riding teams more, whether it's in a positive way or a negative way. Because as we know, hockey is a streaky sport. I'm not saying it's as easy as just picking a team or two, but whether it's the prop market, whether it's fading or betting on, I want to start riding some streaks. And this to me is a good opportunity because we're not laying juice, right? We're not laying a premium. We're getting a plus price here. So first one I'll say I like is the Hurricanes. Underdogs tonight. What do you think?
No, I do like where your eyes are there. I have a handful of kryptonite teams. They were one of them early. I have put them on the shelves, and as we speak, they're listening because their team total now just went to 2.5 over minus 150. So they're listening as we speak there. If you're really ballsy and like the Rangers, you can get their team total over 3.5. Plus 140. So they're really baiting you as we go there. So I like where your eyes are. I do lean Hurricanes tonight.
Keeping it with the totals, I like the under 6 in the Flames and Wild game. I think that you look at some teams when they lose a key player. It could be an NFL, NBA, NHL. Remember during COVID in college football when the key player was out with COVID and everybody overreacts and that team wins outright? Well, I think the Minnesota Wild are one of the main teams that we can actually use as an example that when their best player is out, everybody that follows hockey and bets on hockey should take notice. Kirill Kaprizov is out for the time being for the Minnesota Wild. That hurts their power play. That hurts them on the rush. That hurts them from all over the ice. And late in game, he's always the guy to score big goals. He's up there for like 6, 7, 8 shot attempts per game. He's averaging 3.5 shots on goal per game. So you take that guy away, it hurts. And you look at the Wild and the Flames right now, both of them have turned into kind of more defensive hockey teams. 10 of the last 11 games between these two clubs in Minnesota have gone under. 5 of the last 7 for the Flames have gone under. And I don't usually take into stuff like this into account, but I thought it was pretty cool. I want to try and pull it up here. So Marc-Andre Fleury set to start tonight for the Wild. He's faced the Flames 22 times, 2.13 goals against average, 5 shutouts, 14-6-1 record. That's pretty impressive. And we have Markstrom, who's back in action, 2.35 goals against average with a .922 save percentage. Keeping up with the totals. I've been liking those quite a bit this year. I like the under 6 Wild and Flames.
Yeah, and their team totals, again, a big, huge price. Calgary, 3.5 to get to 4 tonight. You get them at a plus 140. They're under 3.5 is minus 160. Baiting you on the Wild, 2.5 over minus 165. This has got 3-2 written all over it in my eyes.
Hopefully, and hopefully that it's an empty net goal. We're not getting 3-2 and then an empty. Hopefully that's what it takes us to the empty. I will say I do lean towards the Calgary side. Do you know what I mean though about some of these key players being out? Like teams will rally around them, but I really just see Minnesota being a team that's impacted big time by losing that key player. So lean towards the Flames side. I think the safer bet is probably just to take the under and expect a low scoring one. Here's one that's kind of interesting. I talked about the over in this one. I posted a little video on Twitter talking about the over, but per our discussion, people can pick a side that they want to. Colorado and New York, they haven't been playing crazy overs recently, but on the season as a large, they're pretty big over teams. Over 3.5. This is from DraftKings, minus 125 for Colorado, plus 195 for New York. However, I do think Colorado gets the job done. So if you want to just worry about one team, you could take a look at Colorado, but just their depth right now. I feel like they're really getting back on track. They're playing better hockey, and McKinnon just got named first star of the month. When he has an off game, somebody else has his back. But right now, there aren't too many off games from him. The defensemen are jumping up in the rush a little bit. New York, here's the thing. Can I really call them a fade right now, Jeff, if I've been saying that all year and I've been proven wrong? I mean, if I say it every show, eventually I'll end up being right. But I think that they've had their fun. All the advanced stats were in their favor, but we're seeing the decline a little bit. Their scoring might be slowing down. So the more I looked at it all day today, it was exactly what you mentioned, was that I don't really like the over as much anymore as just the team total over for Colorado. I would hate to be making one of those videos, as you talked about, saying, well, the Islanders didn't show up to help us out. I don't want to be that guy. I want to just be able to pick which team is going to do the scoring. So that's one that I like. And then the last one, and then a couple props I can mention. I like Pittsburgh. I want to get on this team. I want to find times to bet on them. I believe in them, and I was looking pretty bad at the start of the year with how they're performing. But this, to me, is the game of the day, which is two teams going in different directions. The Capitals were on a pretty good roll, but then you look at this Pittsburgh Penguins team, 3 straight wins, getting production from all over the ice. And I'm not always a quotes guy, but I do read them, as you know, and I just love the quotes I saw from Noel Achari and Lars Eller and then newer players to this team, pretty much saying people don't realize how hard it is to gel, especially when you're a little more experienced players, because when you're an experienced player, you could definitely slot into a roster, but you're so used to the systems from your old team. So if you go to a new team, we're here in December or January now. We're through several months of the season. You don't really need your team to get into top form until January, February. You're making that playoff push. So I like the way this team's starting to look. They're obviously led by Gensel and Crosby, but Rust has played well. Achari's been good there in the depth. And Carlson and Letang, I feel like, are finally figuring things out. I thought there was kind of an issue with sharing the spotlight because let's be real here. Carlson's like Letang 2.0. And I don't know if Letang liked that very much at first, but I like the Penguins in regulation. And the reason being, Jeff, is that I have them pegged as a team right now that on a large scale, sure, when they have won games, they've gotten to 4, but I just see them winning a mixture of both higher scoring and low scoring. I just want them to win. And I'm willing to sacrifice not getting that price with the team total just because I've seen them win 3-1. I've seen them win 5-3. I don't really want to be battling that tonight. I'm just taking them to win. Actually, in regulation, of course.
I'm going to ask you, the Washington team total is 2.5 minus 210 either which way. 110, excuse me. Pittsburgh overnight, Andrew, was minus 180 with a 6 under. Currently, right now, it's circa minus 175, minus 180 at DraftKings, 6 under, minus 15 cents. Washington scares me in regards to you can get caught up in that sluggish first 1 to 3 wins, as you talked about. If I take a feed off of what you're telling me right now, I can get Pittsburgh team total over 3.5, and I can get that at plus 110. So you're taking the plus side in regulation, and I can go the other way and say, hey, just get to 4 and get the plus 110 on that side.
I'm still in favor of the team totals. Don't get me wrong. I'm not jumping off the ship. I like the idea of it, but with this Pittsburgh team, I see that Tristan Jarry is actually playing well too, so they haven't had to just win games by getting to 4 or 5. I just want them to win. But for the most part, I love that price. And the truth of the matter is here, if there's ever a game that we need to, like you always say, Jeff, get the spaghetti strainer out and or peel the onion back, this is the game for it because I don't like the minus 180. I know you definitely don't like the minus 180. But if I was a money line only bettor, I wouldn't be playing this because it's just not good enough of a price for a team that hasn't proven it yet. But I have this labeled as bet on versus bet against right now. The Capitals, if you go through their lineup right now, if their top 4 players don't score a goal in a game, they're losing. I can't say the same thing for Pittsburgh, and that's why I like them.
You said you had a couple props to wrap up the show.
Yes, I want to. So I want to make mention that I've kind of abandoned the. I don't want to say I haven't abandoned the shots on goal props, but I've been a bit more of a fan of the point props. It's just for me that it's so streaky with these shots on goals, and if your team has an off night, and this guy's not getting as much ice time, but the point props you can get there. So I mentioned Roenick. I wanted to talk about him there. Sebastian Aho, I might even look at him over 1.5 because he's been that key for Carolina. But Val Nichushkin over 1.5 points is something I might have my eye on for Colorado. And then Rupe Hintz for the Dallas Stars. Unfortunately, against my Canadians, I had to mention it. He's someone playing very well for this Dallas team. I talk about depth all the time. I actually don't think Dallas has a lot of it right now. If Hintz isn't playing well, if Robertson's not playing well, they're struggling. So he's someone that kind of caught my eye. And then there was one more I wanted to mention. Hold on. Here it is. Iafallo for the Winnipeg Jets. I'm looking at the under for him. He's, as much as Winnipeg has had success, he is someone that got brought over in that trade from the LA Kings with Velarde and a couple of the other guys. He's been almost utilized more as a shutdown line, a checking guy, not really as much of a goal producer. So, you got to shop around. It's about minus 140 now in that range. And I don't want to come on here and give out too many chalky plays. I did mention a couple pluses, but this these are guys that I want to start betting unders on, Jeff. I want to get into betting unders on player props more. It's a bad habit that people have, including myself, that it's easier to be looking at a board and say, this guy's going to do well, that guy's going to do well. But the nice part about unders when you're betting players in hockey, your team could score 4 goals and your guy might not even touch the puck on any of those 4 goals. But you take an over and you don't, you could be so mad because they could have 5 goals. And if your guy didn't do anything, you're fuming. So I do want to start looking at some more unders. And I had to mention this as a Montreal Canadiens fan. Cole Caulfield's birthday. He's shooting the puck a lot more. Might be worth it looking for him tonight to score a goal. I had to mention that one, but I kind of like the over in that game, Dallas-Montreal, but I'm staying off it.
It's amazing to be great, to be back, obviously, in 2024 with you. You started the show, talking about the World Juniors and Canada bowing out. As we wrap up the show here, because I know you have other stuff to do, give us a quick recap. What is going on in the World Juniors? What happened to Canada? And I have lost track, so I don't know if semis, finals, or what is exactly going on in the World Juniors.
I am shocked, actually. I just checked right now. Sweden, the host country, is in overtime with Switzerland, which just blew my mind a little bit. We're in the quarterfinals right now, Jeff, and Sweden has looked unbelievable. It was been very clear all tournament that USA was number 1, Sweden was number 2, and I thought Canada was number 3. They get bounced by Czech Republic, and if you remember last year, I was talking up Czech Republic big time, or Czechia, and they beat Canada in the round robin stage. And then Canada got them back in the gold medal game. And Czech actually just knocked out Canada in the quarterfinals. USA beat Latvia. We now have Sweden and Switzerland going head-to-head right now. I'll tell you, if you can go ahead, if Sweden, pretty much, I'll put it this way. USA is going to be a big favorite against Sweden if they make the finals, if Sweden even makes it out of here. If you're looking at the futures market, you might as well take a look at Sweden because you're going to get the best price after this game. And then you can take bets on the U.S. throughout the tournament, maybe do some money line stuff and rolling things over. The problem is that you're going to get such high prices that you want to be looking at these team totals. We talk about team totals in the NHL. If you're looking to bet on the USA in World Juniors, most books should offer it. You have to bet these team totals because you're going to be laying 3.5 goals. You don't want to be laying a field goal in a hockey game in semifinals. Sweden was laying 3.5 today to Switzerland. They didn't even score 3 goals in regulation. But although they're kind of in overtime right now, and it's kind of funny to say, I'd say the only team that has a shot at beating US is Sweden. So if they don't get through, I'd say US has a pretty clear pathway.
Scroll has been going the whole time. If you're not following, shame on you. Go over to Twitter, to McInnis Picks, to WagerTalk, to Sports Mayflower. Jump on over to YouTube, to Mayflower Sports. Subscribe. It's free. While you're over there, subscribe to East Coast Sports Investors as well. Andrew, tell them it's the new year, what you have available for all the listeners over at WagerTalk.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Always good to be here with you. I'll see you on Thursday as well. For me, a $2 a Tuesday at WagerTalk today, not just one capper, but every handicapper, obviously includes myself. My best bet up in the NHL. We got 13 games, busy board, as you mentioned. My favorite play is available for just $2. So if anybody's interested in that, come on over. But we always do try and encourage to join for a little bit longer term than just one play. Right now, if you buy 1 month of all sports plays, we throw in a week for free. So you buy 1 month, no coupon needed. You buy 1 month, you get 5 weeks. So it's the best way to go right now. That's good until January 5th. January 8th. So take advantage of that while you can. Buy 1 month all sports pass. We'll throw in 1 week for free.
As always, I can't thank you enough. Shout out to WagerWire. Shout out to Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at WagerTalk at 4:30 or 4:30-ish. Riley Magnuson, excuse me. I was going to say Riley McGinnis. That would have been a new one. Riley Magnuson will be here for the closing bell. Myself will be heading up to the Pepe compound in Canton. I will be co-hosting with Anthony on Sports Map Radio from 8 to 10. So if you want to follow along, stream or just download the app and catch us from 8 to 10. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, the one, the only, Mr. Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at WagerTalk. We wish everyone a blessed day. Have some fun, cash a few tickets, and we will see you soon.